Imagine a city that would one day conquer the world, dictate laws to empires, and shape the course of history. But what if I told you that the foundation of this mighty civilization was built on betrayal, blood, and the death of a brother? Two twins born on the same day, destined to share the same fate. Yet something or someone pushed them toward a darker destiny. Is Rome truly a symbol of power and glory? Or is it a monument to a tragedy that began long before the first stone was ever laid? Because according to legend, Rome's first breath started with a scream, not a celebration. Romulus and Remus, heroes or victims of fate. Why did one brother raise a hand against the other? What transformed love into rivalry and rivalry into murder? Was this the curse that followed Rome for centuries? Or was it the sacrifice history demanded to create the greatest empire the world has ever seen? Let's uncover the truth, hidden behind the bloodstained birth of Rome. Once upon a time on the ancient lands of Latium, fate whispered a story that would shape the destiny of the world. Two newborn boys, tiny, helpless, innocent, were not greeted with love, but with fear. Their very existence was considered a threat, a danger to a king desperate to protect his stolen throne. So the order was given. Throw them into the river, let the waters take them, let the story end before it begins. The infants were placed in a small wooden cradle, their cries swallowed by the wind. Soldiers carried them to the banks of the river Tiber, a river known for swallowing secrets, washing away sins, and bearing memories forever. But destiny had a different plan. As the cradle touched the water, the river did not consume them. Instead, the currents softened, the waves slowed, as if the river itself recognized the importance of the lives it carried. The small cradle drifted gently, avoiding rocks, storms, and every danger that should have ended their journey. The people of Latium would later whisper, it was not water carrying them, it was fate. Hours later, the cradle came to rest beneath the shade of a towering fig tree, a sacred place untouched by human hands. And there, emerging from the forest shadows, came an unexpected protector, a she-wolf. Her eyes glowed with wild instinct, but instead of hunger, she felt mercy. Drawn by the helpless cries, she approached the cradle, sniffing the tiny strangers left to die. And then, in a moment that would become legend, she did the unthinkable. She decided to raise them. The she-wolf fed them with her own milk, guarded them from the cold nights, and sheltered them within her cave at the foot of the Palatine Hill. Under her watch, the boys grew stronger, their fates intertwining with the heartbeat of the wild. Two children who should have died in a river were instead reborn in the arms of nature, because destiny was waiting for them. Rome was waiting for them, and their true story, full of power, betrayal, and blood, was only just beginning. In the shadowy depths of the forest, the wind rustled the leaves, yet the mouth of the cave remained calm. The she-wolf's massive body enveloped the tiny, trembling forms of Romulus and Remus. Her thick fur acted as armor against the damp chill of the night, shielding them from the harshness of the wild. The infants lay side by side, their soft breaths slowly sinking with the steady, powerful heartbeat of their protector. The she-wolf lowered her head toward them. In her golden eyes there was no ferocity, only a strange, tender compassion. She sniffed each child carefully, treating them as individuals, ensuring that both were safe and unharmed. Outside, the distant howls of other wolves echoed through the night. Yet the cave felt like a different world, one filled with protection, warmth, and wonder. Remus whimpered softly. Immediately, the she-wolf reacted, leaning closer and nudging him gently, drawing him even nearer to her warm body. Her massive paws, careful and precise, encircled him without pressure, as if guarding him from every threat. Romulus shifted slightly and pressed closer to his brother. Together, the three formed an unlikely family, a miraculous bond in the darkness of the forest. Moonlight filtered through cracks in the cave's roof, casting silver streaks over the she-wolf's fur and illuminating the soft skin of the infants. It was a moment so magical that even the gods themselves seemed to watch. The perfect union of human vulnerability and wild instinct. The camera slowly pulls back. The fig trees of the forest come into view, and the distant sound of the river's current echoes faintly. This scene whispers a single truth. These children were not just surviving, they were chosen. As the sun slowly sank over the Palatine Hills, the sky was painted in golden and crimson hues. Romulus and Remus, now grown and strong, stood on the plains where the city would rise. Each carried determination in his gaze and a trace of pride in every movement. But who will rule the great city? The question hung in the air. Fate no longer guided them. The protection of nature and the wild had already shaped their paths. Brotherhood was no longer as simple. Love intertwined with rivalry, pride, and the desire for power now drew a sharp line between them. Their eyes locked. Romulus's hands were clenched into fists, while Remus breathed calmly but tensely. Both knew this was a turning point. The fate of the city would be decided through the tension born from their bond. The streets and future walls were still nothing but endless empty land, yet every stone, every hill seemed to wait for their decision. Pride had surpassed both fate and the blood bond. Who would rule this city? The answer was just a step away, and both of them knew it. The air suddenly fell into a heavy silence. The sun scattered its last golden rays over the Palatine Hills, as if trying to hold back the horror about to unfold. Romulus and Remus stood face to face, and in their eyes there was no brotherhood, only a blaze of fury, a single moment of stillness, and then it erupted. Rage, years of pride, and the weight of destiny collided. Romulus could no longer contain the power in his hand or the merciless desire within. With one swift move, one fateful mistake, he struck his brother. Remus fell backward, the earth trembling beneath him. His blood slowly seeped into the soil, glinting in the golden sunlight. Every drop seemed to whisper the fate of the city yet to come. Romulus stood breathless, filled with a deep ache and regret. But history had already shifted. The life of his brother and the birth of a city had intertwined. Written in blood, pride, and destiny, Rome was born. The earth was still stained red with Remus's blood. Romulus planted his feet firmly on that soil, staring with unwavering determination. This land, soaked in his brother's life, was no longer just a place. It was the foundation of a future empire. He raised his hands to the sky, his breath heavy and rhythmic, as if the entire world were witnessing this moment. As the sun set, golden rays kissed the ground, imagining the city's walls, its bustling forums, and magnificent palaces yet to come. Romulus' gaze carried not only pride but a deep sorrow and regret. On that blood-soaked earth, he drew the first lines of the city. Every stroke, every stone, was infused with the memory of sacrifice and the strength of the Rome to come. Life and history intertwined in that instant. Romulus felt it like a sacred ceremony, building a city on the foundation of a brother's blood, a creation born of loss and power. And then, with a commanding voice, he declared, "This city shall be called Rome." The sound echoed across the hills, as if the gods themselves approved this birth. From that bloodied soil, the beginnings of one of the world's greatest empires emerged. Rome, forged through a brother's sacrifice, built with pride, blood, and destiny. Romulus gazed upon the land soaked with his brother's blood. The city was rising before his eyes, walls, forums, and the outlines of future palaces. Every stone, every street carried the memory of sacrifice and the strength of the Rome to come. Pride, loss, and destiny intertwined. Romulus knew that the foundation of this city was laid not just by his will, but through the price of tragedy. Like every great empire in history, Rome would rise on blood and pride. And a voice softly whispers, "History is often built not on heroism, but on tragedies." The foundation of the Roman Empire was built on a brother's blood, a tale where fate, love, and betrayal are intertwined. It reminds us that every great beginning has a cost. Sometimes blood, sometimes sacrifice. If you want to uncover more epic stories from history, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. This story ends here, but the legend of Rome lives on. More secrets and historical tales await you in the next videos.